myself. Bobby's Santa Barbara unable to join us today, so it's going to be just me taking us to 7 o'clock, or at least a good part of the way. I did just update my projections. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look and see what looks good as an individual play. Then we're going to, see if how ownership kind of plays into it. Then we're going to maybe do some builds and see what they look like. To see what happens. So with respect to DraftKings, interesting little thing. I didn't even realize that Paul George was playing. I mean, I presume he's going to have some kind of minutes limit. I don't even think I have him projected. No, I do. I have him projected with 30 fantasy points at 9K. I don't expect him to come off of a huge layoff and really do much. But let me take a look first at DraftKings, and let's just first sort by point per dollar and see just kind of who looks like they're coming out of here. So it looks as though these Lakers are showing up as good plays, but I wouldn't go so far to say they are smash plays. I saw some of the Discord, the talk about, teams got to score. I don't know about that. I mean, Dallas plays some pretty good defense. They don't have to score. But, I mean, yeah, you'd like to think that LeBron's points have to be at least partially absorbed by somebody. I just don't know who that's going to be. Like on a point per dollar basis, I mean, these options are not very enticing, Dwight Howard at 3,800. I see a lot of paths where he doesn't really do it. Stanley Johnson, I mentioned in the earlier show that, I mean, I have seen him have some good games, but sometimes he just kind of just stands around. I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is the type of game where he can be a little more active. And then, the shooters, kind of Carmelo and Malik Monk. Wendell Gabriel, he was looking like a play earlier, but not so much now. And then the guy who just can't seem to get a projection is Russell Westbrook. Even with LeBron out, I mean, he's projecting for crap. Man, is that possible? Is he really only going to get 40 fantasy points? I presume that they were out, K9, but thank you. Yeah, great. I mean, is he really only going to get 40 fantasy points with LeBron out? Is he that washed? I mean, it seems that these projections are just bad. That's the best I can describe it. But I don't know. I gotta pay a little respect, right? So I gotta think about that. It just seems logical you'd want to play Westbrook with LeBron out, but I don't know. That's a kind of a tough decision. I welcome everybody's opinion on that. I don't know. And sticking with that game for a second, Luka on his face looks like the strongest play on the board, right? Because they're playing the Lakers, and he's a great fantasy player, and basically has a triple double locked in. But game's going to be as DFS Chan likes to say, like a clown fiesta, right? I mean, this game could be really ugly. Actually, clown fiesta more implies something like that Portland game from last night. That was the clown fiesta, where just everybody was just not playing any defense. Here, I mean, I don't know, man. This is a tough game. I think that if you do want to play Westbrook, for example, then you could play. I mean, if you want to play Luka, seems to make sense if you want to play something from the Lakers on a short slate. So I don't know. I'm kind of in a quandary. Other spend ups, Joel Embiid. K9 is kind of hitting the nail right on the head here. You have Embiid, Giannis, and Harden, who all project really well, and they rate to be in the competitive game, meaning that their projections is a little more secure. I think that the chance that those guys get their minutes are pretty well locked. I wouldn't say locked, but where Luka, I mean, they're projecting for 35 minutes. I mean, I think he gets 28 like some of the time. Sometimes I don't think he gets into the fourth quarter at all. But I don't know. So what I would do is I mean, it just makes sense, right? You play Giannis with Embiid, you play Giannis with Harden, you know, and then you fill it in with value, and that certainly makes a lot of sense. The of course the interesting pieces to the slate lie in the mid range, right? So if you're not going to play two studs, then you're going to want to play in the mid range, and there's some pretty decent plays here. You know, DeRozan at 8,300, Gobert, whom I mentioned earlier, at 7,300. I think both those guys are really strong. Porzingis coming into his own at 8,500. I think that makes some sense too. Um, as far as ownership of those guys, nothing's particularly earth-shattering, right? I mean, everybody there is going to be 15% plus, if not more. So it's not like anything that I've said is going to be particularly off the wall. I mean, if you really want to have some fun, I mean, you could play that Brooklyn game. You know, you could say, you know what, screw your projections, whatever. I want LeBron. Excuse me, I want Kyrie or I want Durant. And the fact is, they are projecting weaker, but they're certainly going to be much lower owned than all of those other guys. So I wouldn't completely dismiss that idea as kind of a really low owned dart throw. But that's when I would really want to use Cade Cunningham, and Bagley. I would want, if I'm going to play Kyrie, I'm going to play Cade and somebody, whether it be Cade and Bagley, Cade and Killian Hayes. You know, you could even justify. I mean, if you really want to do a low owned thing, you could play all three of those Detroit guys. You could play Killian Hayes, Cade Cunningham, Marvin Bagley, and then run it back with you know, you do two lineups, one of them with Durant, one of them with Kyrie. You're gonna get that's gonna be very low owned. And you know, just hope the game blows up. I mean, it certainly can happen. 5-game slate, anything's possible. Daniel Gafford has kind of leapt up the ladder a little bit as far as a play. I don't know. These two Dallas guys look to be strong plays, strongish plays, Powell and Kleber. But again, if you're going to play anybody from that Dallas game, you have some serious systematic risk in doing that. Interesting. Then these other Washington values. Demi, they moved him up to 5,100. That's interesting. And 20% ownership. I don't think that's going to be for me. I'd rather play Satoransky at 4,100 at only 15%. That would seem to make a lot more sense. But as I mentioned before, these mid-range plays look really, really good. The Gobert, Kristaps, DeRozan. So you can start with those. All those are pretty good. So we're going to take the same kind of look at FanDuel, and then we're going to have some fun. We're going to do some builds and see what we come up with here. So on FanDuel, how do you want to rank this? Let's first do point per dollar again and see what they come up with. Anything different? Yeah, you got this Somnu at really cheap over here at 3,900, 3,600. And that's not particularly sneaky, right? They have him at 25% ownership. So yeah, that's I for whatever reason, I don't think he's going to be that owned. I think people aren't really going to play him. I mean, they might, but I don't think 25% owned. And then the other guys we mentioned, you know, Carmelo, Gabriel, Satoransky, I said before, Howard. And when it comes to, here's another, Sadiq Bey is showing up as a better play on Detroit. So that adds a little bit to that, you know, that's what I'm looking for, a little drama to that Detroit situation. Ranking these guys up here, you have Luka, again, top play with the same risk as before. Embiid and Giannis, the same. DeRozan, we said was a good play. Cade looks like a better player over here. And Kyrie looks like a slightly better player over here as well, as does Durant. So I don't really see too much of a difference with respect to how to handle either of the slates. Um, the only guy that kind of showed up as a much better play on one than the other was Desambu. All right, so let me, just for funsies, as I like to say, let's run some builds using SaberSim and see what they come up with. Just given what we do now, and I'm gonna mess around with the sliders. Well, I mean, say Monk or Horton Tucker. Do I have to play either? Well, I mean, I guess I'll just rely on my projections. What does it look like? I'll pull it up. I'll see. Let's look at these Lakers again. I guess I know you're supposed to play them. I just don't know what to do. Malik Monk looks like kind of an average play at best, if you want to know the truth. And Taylor Horton Tucker looks terrible. I don't know. I just don't know. Maybe all these guys are going to get bumped. They have to, right? Right now, everybody just looks weak. I mean, I'll try to update, but I don't know. Is that what everybody's doing? They're just going to go play the Lakers? Maybe they're onto something. I don't know. The numbers don't seem to bear it out right now. Let me just look into one other thing. I want to see. Whenever there's like a projection that doesn't really make sense, I like to see if anything's really holding it back for some reason. I mean, not really. I mean, I have to say that these projections are pretty consistent across the board. You know, it's not like one site or one model that's overweighting one guy that much more. Like I can't find anybody that's going to give Taylor Horton Tucker even 20 fantasy points. So I don't know what to tell you. And Malik Monk, I can't find anybody that's giving him over 30. And Westbrook, I mean, 40-ish, 42 at the most. So I don't know. Yeah, what he said, what Mark said. Be sure to like it and subscribe it. Well, let's do this. So let's do it. Let's actually do this. Let's see if we can answer all your questions at the same time. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to upload the projections, and again, I do it a little bit differently than you guys would, just because I keep my files just a little bit differently. So we're going to put our ownership in here. We're going to exclude the unlisted players, and then we're going to blast. So you'll see that it filled in whatever. And what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to run these. And so this is the default sliders. And I have to tell you, Mike, that I usually don't screw around with this at all. I really don't. The only time I might is sometimes if it's a really small slate, the default sliders will pin the sim variance all the way to the end. But I want to have a little more confidence in my projections than that. So I'll kind of nail it down a little bit. The one thing you might want to do, is if you want to take an opinion, right? And remember, you know, if you take an opinion, you're going against the models, which is fine. But if you want to take an opinion that you want that this slate is going to come down to the right stack, right? So for example, we talked about you want to play Philly, you want to play these guys together and stuff like that. Then you could up the correlation a little bit. I think that I actually think that the IO play is, even if he's in, I don't know, but I think you're right. That's probably what it's about. I'm probably not playing anyway. So you could, if you wanted to on a slate like this, maybe up the correlation a little bit just to give yourself a little bit better stack bias. But I have to say, I mean, you asked me what I do, and I've been using this for a couple of years now. I don't screw around with this at all. I don't make a single rule in basketball. I don't. Because the way that the SaberSim simulations work is it takes all of that correlation and all those rules into account. You know, if you want, you could, after you build your lineups, you could set it and, well, we'll do this, right? We could say, I don't want more than 2 guys in this team. I just don't. But think about what that logic is. The logic, I just don't. You've had a simulator that's actually created lineups that factor all that stuff in for you, and yet now you're saying you don't believe it. I mean, look, it's sir. I'm not going to just tell you not to believe that, but it's you better have a really good reason. Let's put it that way. All right. So, and I don't mess with the min uniques. I really don't mess with anything. I don't mess with the max exposures. Yeah, I really don't mess with anything, Clay. I really don't. And so we start this, for example. Thank you. And then we'll see what I kind of come up with here. And what this comes up with is about 80% Luka, and then 70% DeMar, and then Killian Hayes, who I mentioned, Setoranti. So basically, all the guys that I mentioned are getting quite a bit of love. Oh, the one guy from the Lakers who is showing up here, which we didn't really get to, didn't talk about too much, is Austin Reeves. So that's somebody who's going to take some shots. So then the next thing I'll do is kind of in the quality control to see if I'm actually going to put this in or something like this in. One thing I'll do, and I forget who mentioned this, if you want to do rules, what I will do sometimes is look at stacks and see if there's anything weird. Like, for example, there are 2 lineups here which have 4 of a single team, and I'm just not going to do that. And I could see what those are, but I mean, I just can't see a world where. And it's funny, it's not the Lakers that you're getting the 4 out of. You're getting the 4 out of the. Well, actually, you are. You're getting 4 Lakers in one, and you're getting 4 Washingtons in one. And the one thing I would say, by the way, is that if SaberSim has, I don't want to say a flaw, because it just like anything else, it does what it's told, right? It doesn't do like stacks with run backs per se. Like when it says like a 3-2, a 3-3-2, or whatever it is, it would be kind of cool if they would list how many 2 versus 2, right? You know what I mean? As opposed to 2 and 2. Like if I tell you they have a 2 with 2-2 stack, that means it's 2 from one team and 2 from any team. It doesn't mean 2 from the opposite team. So that's kind of what, when you're thinking about run backs, you would kind of want to see, you know. Yeah. The other thing I want to do is take a guy like Durant. So we'll pull him up here. Here's a good example. So Kevin Durant, this has, if you click through this has his distribution of fantasy points. Like what percentage of the Sims get you in these different ranges. And then what it does, as you'll see, is it lists the correlation that Durant's production has to all of these other players. You know? And what's interesting to me sometimes is stuff that you wouldn't could think about. Like for whatever reason, you know, a lot of people say, "Oh, I want to play Cade, but only I want to play Durant, but I only want to do that if I could play Cade on the other side." But interestingly, there's very little correlation between a Durant performance and a Cade performance. And I do find it interesting. And this is what the only reason I play the NBA is because the NBA is very unsettled with respect to how much runbacks and how much correlation actually matters. Like it's pretty clear that with all the work done that in football, you know, quarterbacks correlate with wide receivers and they correlate with the opposing wide receivers. It just happens. In baseball, you correlate with your own players, and pitchers negatively correlate to opposing hitters and such. But when it comes to basketball, it is very, very unclear as to whether stacking helps you at all, or whether even making runbacks and things like that actually help you at all. I mean, you could make the argument that to stack a game, it helps you because of the 5%, 6% chance it goes to overtime. And that is definitely true. You know, that's definitely a little bit of an edge. But the idea that XYZ is going to motivate XYM to perform, it feels more narrative based than statistic based. And no one has yet actually shown me proof that it's real. I mean, it seems to make that doesn't mean it's not real though. Okay. And I think that all things being equal, I'd prefer to have a situation where you have two motivated dudes against each other. But it might just be BS. Who knows? Just don't know. Anyway, so I would probably X out the 4 stack combinations. And then if you want to know the truth, what I'll do here, and this is again very very unsheets like whatever it is, but it kind of it's kind of not. I'll go through this, and after all that homework and all that stuff, oh, this is 100% because it's just those 4 lineups or whatever. Okay. Let's redo this. Is that I might just pick a guy that I don't like for whatever reason and just X him. And I know that feels like just terrible math, you know? It feels like just terrible behavior. And people, well, if you don't like him, why don't you just reduce his exposure on him? But like, for example, I mean, I really don't feel like playing Dorian Finney-Smith. So I will literally just X him out of all lineups. I had him in 26%. And what that does, just that one thing, it shuffles everything. You know? I think that's kind of cool. You know, so if you just have an opinion on a guy that is just not your kind of guy, I'll give you another example. Where is he? I got another really good guy. I just don't want to play. Is he still in here? Yeah. Royce O'Neal, 15% ownership. I mean, excuse me. I have him 13% of lineups right at the field. He never does anything for me. And he never seems to do anything for anybody. He's projecting as a decent point per dollar play. But you know what? I'm trying to win the tournament. I don't want him. So he's X'd. And doing just a couple of things like that will make Anthony Gill. Do I really want to play Anthony Gill? Probably not. So I'll throw him out. You know? I mentioned Austin Reeves. Austin Reeves, I mean, he never does anything. Just because LeBron's out, maybe these other guys are going to take over. So take him out. You know, so believe it or not, those are kind of things that I'll do to kind of blend in the projection-based SaberSim system with my own kind of gut. And I'll do that, and I will live with the results. Like if Austin Reeves and what's his name? Who the other guy I mentioned? Austin Reeves and Royce O'Neal and forget the other guy. Whatever it is, it never does anything. Does something, then I'll just lose. I mean that wouldn't be the first time I lost. Certainly won't be the last. And that's those are my tweaks. You know, that's the way I do that. Now let me see. Maybe I'll build. The other thing I got to do, I have to do my hockeys, don't I? Okay. So let me just. I mean, I'll tell you who I have in the NBA now. I mean, it doesn't really matter. And I got to look for Dwight Howard's still questionable. I mean, I don't even know what that means. He's probable. Okay. So I actually don't believe if I asked you who my highest owned players were, like you really, it'd be an interesting question. Only people that were actually following the builds could probably even answer that. But I'll tell you, my highest owned player on tonight's slate on DraftKings is DeMar DeRozan. Can I tell you? That is what it is. Yeah. So next thing I have to do is I have to do my hockeys. So let's do hockey, and we'll do it the same way. Let's. That's right, Garcelle. That's it. Which is interesting because he hasn't gotten there. He hadn't done anything since the Eisenhower administration. So let's and it's possible, by the way, I might not be playing for the next 5 days. I'm going away, and I think the place I'm going doesn't allow DFS. We're gonna have to see about that. All right, so let's enter the hockeys. And then we'll build these and see what these, and I do the same thing. Oh, I think I actually did do the hockeys already. Yeah, I did one at 520. Okay. So I already did those already. But just to show you, I can do it again. That's fine. So let's build these. Same thing. And so with hockey, I really don't mess with this at all. I mean, almost never do I mess with the hockeys. The only thing I'll do, I'll show you what I do at the end. So if we build 30 lineups with the hockeys, but I'll tell you what I'm really steamed at. I'm steamed at LOL because they're in the playoffs, and last year in the playoffs they had these awesome 2-day slates, and now they're just doing nothing. They're doing like one game showdowns every day. That's a horror show. Don't like it. And I'm not playing. I like playing LOL, but let me answer this phone. All right, let's this phone. Hello. Hello. So let's see. So let's do the same thing with hockey as I did before. So let's first look at stacks and see what they give me. This looks really good. This is exactly the type. Oh. Oops. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. So with the hockey, this is what I'm getting. And when I click on stacks first, then I see that I'm getting 5 2s, 5s, 4 threes. And these are sheet stacks. I mean, I love getting 5-2s and 5s and 6s. I just love just going crazy. So I like these types of stacks. So on this level, I probably wouldn't screw with it. And then I go and I see, okay, who do I got? I don't even care who I have yet. I don't even know who these logos are, so it doesn't matter. Actually, that's not true. So under teams, you'll see that I have 93% Florida. Now, this is what you're not going to like. Okay? You're going to say, well, you can't play 93% Florida. Yeah, I think I can. And I do it. I would. I just don't like to mess with this. I don't know what to tell you. Could be wrong, but that's just me. One thing I will do is I will scan through here in my players. And I just don't like playing guys that are on like the third line with no compensation. In other words, if you're on the third line that on a no power play line, I just feel as though you're just not going to do anything. But here, it doesn't seem like there's any issue. But like Eric Johnson, third EV line and second power play line, I might X him. Ross Colton, 3x2, I might X him. You know. So that's something you could do. And I don't know if that's necessarily correct. It feels right. But hey, I've seen it. I've seen those dudes hit. And it looks like that'd be good. So then I just fire it and root for Florida and be off to the races. Well, that was fun with Pittsburgh the other day, huh? 12 goals, whatever the hell they had. I was really close. Those were sheet stacks all over the place. I had one lineup without Malkin that finished in like the top 10. That was pretty nice. Let's see, how many hockey lineups am I playing tonight? I'm still playing the 30. Let me just see something. Yeah, I'm also probably going to play. It's probably some Tampa, maybe. If I had to add, I'd probably play some Tampa. Let's see if there's any spots left in the main GPP in hockey. Maybe I'll play a couple more lineups. Maybe I'll play 10 more. Nah, it's already no, we got a little bit of time. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna download these. And then I'm gonna upload these. I am gonna play 10 more. Listen, I might not be playing for the next 4 days, so I wanna get a little more action. And then we'll just go in here and just play some. There's another Florida. 2. Yeah, so I'm getting more of this Florida the later on in the day this goes. So it's funny, when I did my build before, I only had like 40% Florida. And now they want to give me like 89% or something. So okay, so we're going to add a little more Florida. And that's pretty much going to be it. I have one duped lineup, so I have to take that out. And I'll tell you, I don't like seeing these questionable tags on my players. We're going to replace Shattenkirk with Chariot. Oh, I can't replace him with Chariot. Then I have like 7 Floridas. Okay. Well, I am picking a decent a decent week to go away, and there's no MMA this weekend, and there's no F1. I don't think this weekend, and the golf tournament. I did actually put up my projections for golf, just in case I don't get to you guys tomorrow. Some good 7K guys, and I did a video on that. I don't like Matthias Schwab as much as I did in the video, by the way. But some other 7K guys that are going to show up that look good. And again, just a little bit of a disclaimer. You know, I'm going to be away. I'm going to do my best to at least get one projection run up a day, depending on what my schedule looks like. I hate to give it the whammy, but I think it can work where I put at least one setup, you know, during that 5 to 6 hour, you know, for basketball and hockey. So we'll see how it all works out. But I'm gonna get going. Good luck, everybody, and I'll be checking the Discord. I expect to see really good screenshots and really good feedback.